was faster and faster.
Bad luck again for Aprilia? Perhaps. But if Aprilia did not have bad luck, they wouldn't have any luck at all. Marco Bezzecchi, he arrived at the Sachsenring still battered and bruised from the biggest crash of his career. On Friday, we watched him struggle just to get off the bike. Now he leaves Germany with a shattered collarbone, 4 Grand Prix in a row without scoring a single Sunday point. But here's the contradiction. 2 Aprilias finished on that podium, and neither was a factory Aprilia. Same manufacturer, 2 different teams, 2 very different environments. So this week we're going to ask, simply bad luck again for Aprilia, or is there something more going on? Welcome back to With Antone, MotoGP. Marc Márquez delivered another Sachsenring masterclass. 10 German Grand Prix victories, leading every single lap of the sprint and every single lap of the Grand Prix. And the Saturday sprint, shades of 25, Marc and Alex Márquez won too. And then the Sunday race, well, the rest of the field started to fall apart behind him. Digia crashed twice on Sunday and eventually crashed out of the GP on lap 5, and Alex Márquez also crashed out. But Marc, he just kept going and going. Now, why Marc delivered the result everyone will be talking about and expected, behind him something much more interesting was happening. Now, the podium, Ogura continues to shine, finishing 2nd, and Raúl Fernández 3rd. So that's a double podium, I should say, for Trackhouse again. They benefited from the chaos, but they still had to be there to take advantage of that chaos. And another significant performance from Ogura. Trackhouse look increasingly like a team where its riders can simply get on with racing. And this is where the Sachsenring results become really interesting, because these were Aprilias, but neither came from the factory garage. Now, same manufacturer, but 2 completely different environments. Factory Aprilia and Trackhouse. Look, they're riding the same bikes, but the environments appear very different. Now, Davide Brivio seems to be building something calm and supportive in Trackhouse. Less visible tension, less noise, and a more let's go racing approach. Ogura and Fernández appear to be able to develop without carrying the full pressure of a factory project. Meanwhile, factory Aprilia has spent another season dealing with injuries, pressure, and difficult decisions. I'm not saying that the Trackhouse environment caused and was the reason for the double podium, but Sachsenring certainly gives us a reason to ask, how much does the environment around a MotoGP rider actually matter with track performance? And what we saw on Friday is Bezz arrived at the Sachsenring less than 2 weeks after that huge Assen crash. On Friday, we could see how physically sore he was, struggling to get off the bike. He actually used the ride height device to lower it so he could actually get off the bike in the pits. And that made me question how recovered he really was. Now, of course, Bezz was declared fit to race, but fit to race and ready to race may not always be the same thing, particularly when you have to bring in concussion and other symptoms into that. Now, we have to ask, should he have raced? Look, it was the worst crash of his career, and less than 2 weeks later, he's back on the bike, and it cost him had another huge crash at turn 7 at around 170k. It shattered his left collarbone. Now, I have to ask you guys, would it have been better to wait until after the summer break? But who ultimately decides when a rider is ready? Is it the rider, the doctors, the team? One thing we know is racers want to race, but sometimes less haste is less waste. So maybe this is a question we can explore. Now, is it bad luck for Aprilia? Look, they've unquestionably had some extraordinary activities and happenings over the last month. But, you know, Sachsenring produced a fascinating contrast, like we've said. Trackhouse, 2nd and 3rd. Factory Aprilia, another injury. Same manufacturer, different teams, different environments, completely different outcomes. Does this prove anything? Well, it does make one question worth asking. Is all this simply bad luck, or is there something more going on with Aprilia factory racing? Now, racers, they just love to race, and the Saxon crowd was there out in force. I think 261,000. It was great to see Cal Crutchlow racing at the back and battling with Toprak before he crashed out. Going to have a bit more to say on Toprak coming up. But it reminded me just how much these riders actually love racing. Now, speaking of races, Jack Miller, seems the Suzuka 8 Hour success is leading him to perhaps to Yamaha World Superbike for 27. Different riders at different stages of their careers, but every rider wants to race. And perhaps that brings us back to Bezz. If racers always choose to race, sometimes the difficult decision has to come from somewhere else. And as MotoGP is heading into a summer break, there'll be plenty of time for us here on With Antone to talk riders, contracts and the championship. I want to look behind the obvious headlines. I want to look at teams, the people making decisions and the environments created around the riders. Of course, technology and strategy. Sometimes the decisions don't make sense until you look a little deeper. So stay tuned throughout the summer break. But what do you think was the biggest news coming out of the Sachsenring German Grand Prix? Why don't you let me know in the comments below. Marc Márquez, was it him delivering the perfect 10? Was it the two Trackhouse Aprilias on the podium? And was it the non-representation of the factory team? Now look, Trackhouse was celebrating, the others dealing with another injured rider. You know, if Aprilia didn't have bad luck, they'd have no luck at all. But is it all bad luck? Or is there something more? Why don't you let me know? And of course, if you've enjoyed the episode, give us a thumbs up. Why not drop us a subscription or share the video around? Remember, it's data, not noise. Okay, thanks for watching this week, and we're going to talk again real soon. Okay, bye for now.